Brett Simons. I'd like to call the July 26th Board of Selectmen agenda for the town of Upton to order. With that, I will stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is acceptance of a donation for the Council on Aging. So this is a grant that was provided, or a donation that was provided from the Unitarian Universalist Society of Grafton and Upton for the food pantry in the Upton Center in the amount of $419.
I'll make a motion that we accept the donation from the Unitarian Universalist Society of Grafton and Upton in the amount of $419 to be used to purchase items for the food pantry that we have here at the Upton Center.
Second motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous action. Next, we have a motion to execute the fall primary election warrant. I'll hand it over to you, I think, Denise. Thank you. I love it.
So yes, one of the requirements for the state primary September 6th is to have a warrant signed by the Board of Selectmen. This warrant for the election, I will refer to the middle of
Great.
build in advance, but needs to be new ones to determine the skill deadlines for this summer.
There's no harm to doing it early, right? Because it's the election warrant, it's not the... Right, and I think it's important for folks to know that this is separate from the town meeting warrant.
Yes.
So I want people to recognize that that's a different motion that we'll be having, not too far from now, but it is a different opening and a different warrant. So.
You want to talk for a minute regarding the date and time of the election?
Sure. State primary is on Tuesday, September 6th. Unfortunately, the day after Labor Day, not the reason I have. So as typical, our polling locations in our high school, 3 precincts, now we have 2 precincts this year, all right in our high school. The town, we are offering early voting, approved by the state for all state elections. So we have early voting hours in August. I'm setting those in the next couple of weeks. I set them starting August 27th to the first day of early voting, in-person early voting. Now, also, everybody knows about the dual-line postcard thing.
Yeah.
Which that's also a new option, ongoing option now for the state election ballots right now. That's ongoing, and we'll probably see these postcards so far. All elections this year, local elections tomorrow, state elections in November. August is going to be a busy month in the post office.
Trial by fire. Fantastic.
I think ours will be, still winding down and won't really ramp up until September, but that's not the case. So early in the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get the election people, but that'll be another thing I would probably be presenting to
Okay.
next year. I think this meeting on 16th.
Yes.
I'll have to get a little bit of the election workers and
Great. Any other questions?
No, I'll thought.
All right. I'll take a motion.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to execute the warrants for fall primary election to be held on Tuesday, September 6th, 2022, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Vote to be held at the Upton Regional High School Gymnasium, 90 Pleasant Street, Upton, Mass., and to direct that Constable Coach said one forward.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous action. Yeah. Next up, we have a motion to appoint election police detail.
This is a change in votes act that was recently included in June of this year. It used to be the town board and police chief would work together to set the detail. Now, details and asking for selection. So it's not a number of police. This is a new change, and I'm going to what prompted this change. Spoken to talk about Selectmen's authority now to appoint the number of police officers, and you would like to request that the chief be allowed to determine who those officers be. In the past, we had one officer, usually starting in the morning or so, different times. Sometimes we have the same officer all day, and then sometimes we change the guard later in the day to the same officer resign. So usually one officer on the day, times always required in our own locations. So we change to that, and then I would like to request the chief be allowed to determine who the officers work in. So we'll set the work on the hours and we continue. It's a pretty routine often at the office. Here to help with the balance of school, and the balance of school, and one officer is
Why is this changing? You know,
Votes Act,
it's from the state.
yes.
State thing. Okay.
The recent changes that also allowed for really codifying some of the changes to elections that occurred because of COVID. So no excuse mail-in ballots, the whole early voting, all those things. So it's just part of that legislation that was just signed just a couple weeks ago.
yeah, it's in June.
Glad we're on top of it. So
Again, not sure why the change that in this election.
somebody somewhere, but not us. Okay, so we're going to appoint one is the ask.
So what Denise had thankfully sort of emailed me sort of like a draft motion.
Okay.
So I'd like to read that so that you can either move it or change it.
How about you just turn your laptop and let Maureen read it?
It's itty bitty font.
Itty bitty?
Okay, turn it on. Whose glasses are better? I mean, right, you're just going to read it for us to read it. Right?
Okay.
So,
Because I was going to sort of amend it as I.
oh,
Do you want to just give it a proofread and make sure it makes sense?
So that's why I was just going to amend it on the fly off of what she had. So
but you can't make a motion, so someone.
no, I'd sort of offer it for your consideration.
You go ahead.
I guess I would also say it makes good sense, just
I-
because we have no
I'll-
problem
The bold,
allowing
yeah.
you to select who it is that is the officer you'd like to use, that makes good sense.
The bold language.
Making sure the language is correct, so, sure, you would read that, right?
And to clarify, we're suggesting that for both elections, get primary and
I can just make the motion. I make a motion that the board appoint or approve a single police officer per the Votes Act, Section 72, where we're assigning one police officer to our polling location for all elections and primaries in 2022, and that we designate the police chief the authority to assign specific police officers according to scheduling and availability.
A second?
Can I just
Discussion,
suggest, just discussion. It says police officers there, they're requesting one officer, so I think we should correct that. And the only other thing I would say is, I'm not 100% sure with Robert Rules of Orders, but I'm almost sure Chairman can make a motion.
They can.
Yeah. If you're sure about that. And the only thing I would offer is that she's corrected to, she requested one, so I would just request that
Officer. Yeah.
we change
Officer.
to officer.
Perfect.
Okay. A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous action. Okay, next up, town manager report.
Okay. I think everyone has experienced the frustration now of going through West Upton Center. They are doing the final coat of pavement on Hartford Ave, and DPW director is going to be working with MassDOT in order to identify temporary striping before permanent striping occurs. So that's something that thankfully is coming to the end. I know that Dennis has been working really hard with residents who are also along the stretch, some of which have had some challenges during construction. So he's been really great, doing a great job assisting residents, acting as sort of a intermediate person between the state as they're finishing that project and trying to make sure residents are taken care of. Also, just sort of an update on some other things that happen with DPW. Typically, during the summer, we're doing some roadside mowing, getting some of the weeds down and all that. There's been a little bit of a challenge with contracting with the firm that we typically do, so that's causing a delay, and that we will be looking for another company to do that work, but that could cause a delay compared to when we typically get that work done. As I think I mentioned, the sewer lining project is complete. Dennis did let us know that the project did come in not only on time, but under budget, and they actually did some additional streets that weren't on the original list. Always good when you can do more for less and sooner than when you thought. They're also going to be he's also going to be working on completing bid specifications for paving and seal cracking. I expect those to be open for the 19th, so that for a following meeting, have contracts signed. The water and wastewater bills are going out next week, so residents who have water and waste and sewer should be on the lookout for that. From town meeting, we all had heard the discussion about the Grove Street Bridge engineering work. That was the article that came up for approval. Dennis is finalizing getting 2 more engineering quotes for that work, so we can make sure that we're getting the best price for work. From other departments, police department, which is currently experiencing some short staff because of openings, they were able to offer employment for 2 dispatch, so those are 2 much needed positions. They're finalizing that process, and I'll be sending along email to the board once that is done. Before school opens, they're doing some training to make sure that officers and first responders are all set and prepared for anything that should happen. Thankfully, hopefully not. But it's always best to have our personnel prepared in case there are situations. The library is actually going to be starting to sell trash bags, the blue ones, not the yellow ones at that time. I understand yellow is preferred than blue, but at least that will be. But at least that'll be a second location outside of hours of Town Hall where they can be purchased. The other bags will notify when they're available. They're also going to be soon wrapping up their summer program with a August 13th finale, and free ice cream will be served for that. For the Board of Health, and there'll be more information coming out on this later. The Milford DPW will allow residents of Upton to use their composting site. It will be for residential use only and will be a $25 sticker charge. Those stickers will be available through the Department of Health here in Upton, and they're going to be presenting more information when it's available. For the fire department, they're supporting every other town that's having some brush fires. The severe drought conditions that we are in are impacting a lot of our neighbors, and so they're helping with that. As I said, they're doing some training, incident response training, and also they're coordinating with the police department, previously had mentioned that the town was successful in getting a E911 grant for wireless alarm system. So because we have the mutual contract with Hopedale, we're bringing them up to speed as well. So bringing them into current standards. We heard from the town clerk's office, working hard on elections. She's getting a lot of stacks for people for the mail-in ballots. And then lastly, with planning, today we had a kickoff meeting with the consultant for design of the parklet, which is right next to the parking lot. This was money that was obtained through a grant that planning and EDC had written for funding that project, that design project. The planning board has a number of projects on their slate, continued projects, East Street Estates and Governor's Landing, that they're actually meeting right now on those projects. So things are continuing, pretty busy in town. I'll be meeting, thankfully, I'd like to thank Dennis for setting it up. We're going to have a meeting with District 3 on the TIP project right out front, not only to bring me up to speed, but then also to talk about how we're going to be doing outreach for 25% design hearing, which is a requirement for the project to move forward. Also, other sort of going-ons. We're finally, with Goodman across the street, we're in agreement as far as what needs to happen, and that will be on the board's next agenda. Town council is finalizing paperwork to transfer deeds, so that thankfully is now at a conclusion, and we'll be able to make sure that the appropriate land is transferred and accepted by the town at the board's next meeting. Sort of last thing on a personnel note, because I just came on board middle of May, one of the things that the town has in its personnel bylaws is evaluation processes, where direct reports to the town manager, as well as employees reporting to the department heads, talk about the goals that they had established last year, how they've done in meeting those goals, and setting goals for the next year. So while they set goals with the former town manager, we're going to be meeting next week. I've scheduled a bunch of appointments to sort of go over what's going to be the FY23 goals, what departments want to work on, and ways that we can support, and also just try to identify ways that they want to try to grow professionally in the positions, and identify things that we can do to support those. After all of that, I'll just be sort of giving the board an update as far as some of the things, because most of them align with goals that the board has either already approved through supportive articles at town meeting, or provided direction through studies or other community forums that then the departments then execute. Okay.
Questions?
Yes, a quick question for you. You had mentioned that some crack sealing and some asphalt, that will be asphalt contracts that are going to be awarded shortly. Does our DPW director have at this point a list of any roads that he knows for certain he's going to address?
That'll be part of the, when for the next meeting, we'll be reviewing that list, because it's sort of, you have a set amount of money. Depending on where the quotes are, you're able to then identify what exactly it is. So he had said that for the board's next meeting, which realistically will be towards either the 16th or the meeting after that. We'll have that full list, so that one, the board can know, but then also we can start to let the residents know, because it does have an impact as far as, hopefully a shorter one when someone's road's being worked on, but it does have an impact as far as people and where they live and how they get to and from home and work. So.
Okay. Excellent. Lots going on. Good stuff. Next on the agenda, we have public comment. So does anyone have any comments on any issue? Just state your name, please, and your address. Thanks for the board.
You said something about drought conditions in fire department. I'm curious about, about how the greenhouse or some wells, a few wells. What is the status of the water resource, both in the town and also how it's affecting people in town and around wells?
Unfortunately, as it relates to private individuals, because that can vary so significantly depending on the depth of their well, wouldn't be able to comment on that. Board of Health may be a good department to check on that. As far as the municipal wells, what I'm told, and this came up as part of a brief conversation this morning with department heads, is that our water supply, we're not being impacted by the drought conditions that we're experiencing right now. When you go to the state site, you see that we're sort of like in this third tier of severe drought. It's not the worst, but as we all know, looking around, it's it is significant. But the locations where we draw down from the aquifer, it's in locations that are replenished enough so it's not having an impact. Like it might on a private resident who may, depending on their soil conditions and it being more localized because it's more shallow, may experience those a lot more. But that's sort of the best, at least having it for a response right now.
So no issues in the municipal water supply.
Correct.
Obviously, if people are having issues with private wells, that's a different thing. The Board of Health might be able to help. But nothing on the municipal side. Does that help? Does that help? What's your question?
Well, it doesn't help, but it's not the answer, but it seems good.
What's the question you're asking? You're asking like percentage, or what are you trying
I was
to?
just wondering this is impacting a lot of private wells, people experiencing wells on
We have that's not a municipal issue. We would have no idea. I don't think we track wells that go dry that are private wells. Is that what you're asking? Or are you asking about the municipal wells?
That's about the municipal well.
Okay. None of the municipal wells are going dry or have gone dry.
You probably have some courts of wells failed.
Of course, yeah. We were here a couple weeks ago with Dennis, the DPW director, and he was talking about the supplies, the amount of water that we have available, as well as the capacity of not only the water system, but also the capacity of the sewer infrastructure as well.
And
none of the municipal wells have run dry. Is that your question?
And as far as sort of adding on,
we just want to make sure we're answering, pointing you to the resource that gets you the answer to the question you're asking. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question.
I think part of this question was on the private well. And we would have no idea about that, but the Board of Health would, because
Right.
they would report to the Board of Health.
If someone's well went dry and the solution was to contract a well digging company to dig deeper, then that would require permitting through the Board of Health, and they might have some information. It becomes a question as far as tracking.
Right.
Yes, there would be permits, but is that something outside of individual permits being issued? Is it being tracked in a way that could identify a trend?
There's another process called hydro tracking, so I don't know, hydro tracking is something that Board of Health actually monitors that. I'm not sure how that works. Probably good questions to ask them. Because that particular service, again, I don't know if that's something that's needed through Board of Health. So it's tough to know. And to know that from this point.
Right. And if you still have questions, Joe can answer them, or we can address them after the meeting to make sure we understand what you're looking for. We can get it. The information's out there. It's not a mystery. Okay. Any other public comments? Okay. Next up, we have the Housing Production Plan Steering Committee. So as folks know, this is something that we developed a charge for the Housing Production Plan Steering Committee at the last meeting. This is appointments that we'll be doing, and there are appointments from the Affordable Housing Trust has one appointment. We as a board have one appointment. Conservation Commission has an appointment. EDC has an appointment, and Planning Board. And based on what I'm looking at, Affordable Housing Trust and the Planning Board each have pending appointments. It looks like the Conservation Commission has nominated Christine Scott, the EDC Jean Burnett, and so then the only third one for tonight would be us as a board discussing the folks that have applied.
And I did hear back from the Affordable Housing Trust that they designated Jane Snellman as the representative.
Okay.
And for Planning Board, Catherine, I'm about to look up the email. Yes. Yes.
Okay. She was the Planning Board.
Yes. And just for clarification in the board's packet, clearly electronically 2 pages must have got stuck together because I missed one of the applications that was submitted actually by Mr. Jordan here. So there's 5 rather than 4 people who had submitted.
I saw his application in the packet.
Right, it's in the packet, but in my summary where I said there was 4, I didn't list out his name.
I see. Oh, gotcha. Applications were submitted by. I got that.
Right.
Yeah.
2.
So the Board of Selectmen has 2 appointments?
The resident at large, there's 2 seats that would be filling, and then the board just has to
Nominate one of us. Select one of us.
I think there was discussion when we were having the discussion about the committee assignments,
Yeah, got it.
and there may have been interest expressed, but there wasn't an actual vote.
I got it. Okay. Great. Okay, so we've got 2 at-large appointments that the board should make, as well as appointing one of us to participate. Yeah? Okay, so,
Mr. Chairman, with respect, can I point out that the charge says that the member or representative of the Board of Selectmen, so we could choose someone other than 3.
so do either of you want to make a nomination for the board? Are you interested? What do you guys think?
You're talking about the BOS?
For one of the 3 of us to participate, if there's interest in doing that, certainly we should do that.
Yeah, I think we were talking that with respect to our liaison assignments, I had expressed interest. I said I would be willing to serve on a store in the past. There may have been some other assignments in there. So if you have stepped up, I would be willing and happy to serve on the committee. I don't know what the meeting schedule would be. I guess the only thing I would say is my Wednesday, Thursdays are kind of tough, and the other Tuesdays are different. So hopefully, people that are listening will apply Monday, Tuesday, so we can get as far as the actual meeting.
Yeah.
And yes, I would be glad to serve.
Great.
Yep.
Good.
Take a vote.
Good.
I move that we come to the Housing Partnership Club. What's the term on 3?
Housing Production Plan Steering Committee.
So I have like 2 motions on that. So the second one
was here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Selectman member Stephen Metallion as the Board of Selectmen representative on the Housing Production Plan Steering Committee.
I second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous action. Thank you. Awesome. And so we have 2 resident at-large folks to appoint, and we have applications from David Brooks, Brian Gallagher, Laura Hebb, Alan Rosenfeld, and Robert Jordan. Yes. Okay. Have the board members had the opportunity to look through these? Do we want to have a discussion? Any questions for anybody? We can discuss initially. If there are folks here, we can hear them to say a word, but let's start with the board members.
I want to thank all of you for putting your applications in. I think it's a very important committee to be on with the way things are going today. And I'd like to hear from each one of the members that have applied on their interest in the housing partnership.
We'll start left to right. Mr. Jordan.
I'm a contractor with developer, interested. I've been a resident of Upton for 20 years. And yeah, I've been interested in the process and having an orderly process and developing, meeting the goals of would be development and not being coerced into something that the town doesn't really want to have.
To summarize my submission, there are reasons why we should do this, which are basic. We have to meet our 40B goals, multi-family, high-density goals. We have a moral obligation to house 200,000 people in the common work, and we should do our part. But the main reason I put forward was this town is rapidly getting old, and I'm part of the problem. We more than double our 65 plus population between 2000 and 2010. We've now added about, we will have, by the time we've done about 350 able treatment units, more than 10% of the housing stock. And that's not a way to grow a town. So I would like the town to take a positive step towards encouraging more younger, less financially well-off children and poor families into town. They provide the growth, they provide the energy and the strength of the town. They also, I was driven to do this by a comment that was made in the Power Street and Panic Street discussion at town meeting about, yes, these buildings will bring in more tax revenue, but they also bring in more children, so a net negative to the town's finances. That's not really good. So I would like to help influence this plan in a way it brings younger, more diverse, more future promise to the town through design of the housing.
So my interest in it is that I don't believe in the affordable housing community for any years. I'm appreciative of the Selectmen that created this community. In my opinion, that 40 housing is definitely everybody in almost my community has one of these. And I think I could bring in terms of inclining communities about various boards of selectmen, including some of these reality. And again, I believe this town area projects can be built upon the companies. I think my experience and my desire to give for community, I request the opportunity to serve the community.
Thank you. Ms. Hebb, I see you on our screen, please. I think you're still muted. I don't know if you did that or we did that or if you can undo it.
Okay, I think, can you hear me now?
Gotcha now.
Very good. So housing has been something I've been very interested in. We haven't put any senior housing online for 40 years in Upton. And as a realtor, I see firsthand that people who work in this town sometimes can't afford to live in this town. There's a dearth of rentals. Years ago, the zoning was created to keep Upton rural, and instead it's kept Upton exclusive. So the fact that we're an MBTA community is very important. As a top producing realtor and the #1 brokerage in the valley, we sell and move more property than anyone else. I have many tools at my fingertips that I think would be advantageous to this committee. I understand the trends and we're constantly educating ourselves. So I do think my unique skill set would be of benefit to this committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Mr. Gallagher on the phone?
Sorry, I meant to let the board know he was not available for tonight.
Okay. Okay. Great. We do have his application and I think his resume, so I think we have some information from Mr. Gallagher. Okay. So any questions you have?
I do not. Everybody has, go through all the applications, everyone has relatively diverse skill set. so I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. Again, Mr. Gallagher is not here to speak, but he's very impressive resume from a business standpoint. And of course, everybody brings a different level of expertise that they're bringing to the table. So it's going to be a difficult decision, really. Unfortunately, you get to choose two, and if you make an investment, you have to choose two out of possible five.
Okay. Any
I've
questions
also-
for anybody?
No, I've also been through all the applications too. Very
Okay.
diverse group.
Great. Should we, I don't have any questions either. I think we've read through what's here. I appreciate everybody's comments. I think that's helpful. Do we have a top two, and we can try to figure out if there's consensus agreement?
Well, my choices would have been, or are Brian Gallagher and Laura Hutt.
Okay.
My choices would be Laura Head and Alan Rosenfield.
So we should make a motion for Laura Head, and then we can discuss the others, because she was definitely on my list, but I had a third one, so we'll reconcile that. But
Okay.
we make a motion for Laura, and we can winnow it down to one.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Laura Head as a member of the Housing Production Plan Steering Committee for a term to expire upon the completion of the Housing Production Plan or December 31st, 2023, whichever comes first, unless extended by the board.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous action. Okay, so I would have supported another person, David Brooks, just based on his experience, his insight. Clearly, he's looked at the data, the information. He has served on other committees similar to Mr. Rosenfeld. I think it's great to have sort of new people involved as well. So, Robert, it's a welcome to have people that are interested in these kinds of things, and there's lots of opportunities. So if this isn't the one, there's a lot, and I think there are more coming up. So I don't know if either of you have thoughts or comments based on that, but
I was going to say, actually, Mr. Brooks raises some very good points and very good issues that you brought forward. When I first saw your application, I actually assumed that you were the EDC designated. I did not realize until after I spoke with Joseph, but that was something that, again, given the opportunity for someone that's not serving in the seat, and somebody that's already serving in the seat, I do not only need for someone that's not serving. So, unfortunately, I don't want you to think that was not, understandable. So it's trying to get more people involved if you can.
The same way also that Steve does, get some new blood on the committee, or people that haven't served before that want to get involved in how this town is going to look in the future.
yep, okay.
And the expertise is there with some of them.
Okay.
I'm not sure how we classify Mr. Rosenfield as who was, but it's a compliment.
He's a seasoned veteran and family father, town father, family father. Okay, so you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll take a motion.
Well, wait a minute. We are still now, I'm not sure that we have consensus there. Do we have consensus?
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Yeah, you were saying you support Alan?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Okay. And then you were saying David, so I wasn't sure if we had narrowed.
No, I said I agreed with what you had said about David. And he's been involved and done a very good job with the EDC.
It'll be nice to have some new blood over here, participating in the direction of our community. Okay. All right, I'll take a motion.
You can make that motion.
I moved with the board.
I'm trying to, right, exactly. Here we go. Sorry.
Trying to get to that page.
That was my bad. Sorry.
Okay, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Alan Rosenfield as member to the Housing Production Plan Steering Committee for a term to expire upon the completion of the Housing Production Plan on December 31st, 2023, whichever comes first, unless extended by the board.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous action of the board. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for your consideration and for the council.
Thank you.
Thank you for the application.
One, if I may interject, just on the last item before we move off, just as far as to letting those people know who were appointed, as far as what to expect, we'll be having people go to the town clerk's office in order to get sworn in. We're still, myself and the town planner, are communicating with CMRPC. Next week we have a organizational meeting with them just to sort of go over what we think about the timelines. Once we have that internal meeting, then we'll be reaching out to all of the representatives for the steering committee in order to then establish a date to have a sort of a kickoff of the project so they can organize and we can have CMRPC and sort of talk more about the project.
Based on the rough timetable, do you see that being early September?
Yes.
Any questions from any of the folks that were appointed? Thank you very much. Congratulations. We appreciate it. Thank you for your interest. We look forward to seeing you around for other opportunities.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have an appointment to a full term of the Historic Commission from a well-known member of that commission. So, Craig, is there anything you want to offer us?
I was just wondering, I'm currently an alternate member on the Historical Commission, so I was wondering if the Board of Selectmen might consider appointing me to a full member of the Historical Commission.
Okay. Any questions?
Per the control sheet, because we have a number of vacancies, we have a 1-year term and then 2 3-year terms. 3-year terms we had just re-upped last month. So there's 2 of those. So it's in talking with Sandra, it basically is up to the board to identify which of the 3 vacancies we want Craig to fill. So.
What do you think, Craig? 1 year or 3 years?
I'm sorry, my connection's a little shaky. What did you say, Brett?
There are 2 terms, a 1-year term or a 3-year term. Which would you prefer?
I'd prefer 3 years, I think, yeah.
Okay, so I didn't want to make any assumptions. So if the board is okay with that, any
Yeah.
questions?
You said 3 years?
You said 3 years, yeah.
That makes sense, sure.
Good. Okay, I'll take a motion.
You want to do it, Steve?
I got it. Make a motion that we appoint Craig Weinquist to the 3-year seat on the Historical Commission.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous action. Thank you. And we have a resignation from the Historical Commission. John Spargo, is that right?
No, Howard Glassman.
Yeah. Okay. Howard Glassman. Is Howard here? Okay. Do either of you want to comment on Mr. Glassman's service on the Historical Commission?
I'd like to thank him for his service.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, I will take a motion.
I move that we accept the resignation of Howard Glassman with regrets on the Historical Commission.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Glassman, for your service. We have a vote to open the special town meeting warrant on August 1st, 2022. Any Questions, comments?
I know, and specifically, I was talking with Maureen about this. Will we really need a special town meeting? Yes, we will. That at least was the comments that were coming from department heads this morning. So before you is a motion to open the warrant, and as previously reviewed with the board, I just included a copy of the calendar just so that we can see how things fall.
And when would we be closing the warrant?
That would be September 9th at noon.
Questions?
None.
Okay. Make a motion.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 10, and Town Code, Chapter 100, to open the warrant for Tuesday, November 1st, 2022, special town meeting on Monday, August 1st, 2022, and to close said warrant on Friday, September 9th, 2022 at noon. Said special town meeting to be held at Nipmuc Regional High School, 90 Pleasant Street, Upton.
Second the motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous action. Looking forward to it. Next up, we have a men's club amphitheater presentation. Welcome, Mr. DiDio. Welcome, honored men's club members. Okay.
There's one here, I have.
Chair.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, changes. It's very similar. We organize things a little bit. It's a lot of hats. Subtract to the technical option, and we touch base on previously. Well, while you're bringing that up, first of all, thanks for seeing me today. You know, I presented this last year, 2021, at a selectmen meeting. It was the first kind of thought into this concept. And as you know, I'm with the Upton Men's Club. I represent them. Our charter is really to try and do above and beyond things in the town of Upton to benefit the community. Last year, we started talking about how we can make a bigger impact in the community, and this idea came up. We didn't know where we would do it or what was feasible, but the idea was to find a plot of land already owned by the town and use community preservation funds or whatever funds might be available to build a town amphitheater, along with some other amenities like playground, dog park, these types of things. So that's really the genesis of this idea. Since last year, I've done some research in terms of access. Let me back up. So we proposed last year to use the Stefan's farm property, which has been owned by the town, I think, since 2007. And I presented that plan, and so I'd like to go over that again today.
You just give me a minute. I'm
Yeah,
just
you can get that.
bringing things up.
So since last year, we walked the site several times. We checked out the potential access to the site because right now there is no road that goes up there. It's a beautiful site, definitely scenic, but access to it is important. We need a road, or we need electric, septic, whatever, these types of things for such an idea. I have come up with two potential options for a road. One was a plan that was proposed back in 2019. I think a company was hired and an estimate was provided for that road. I'll talk about that as well. And you have it up. Okay. That turns so I can see it.
Okay, if you want to, there's a way for you to position that. If you want to move the mic so you can look at both.
Sure,
things.
sure.
And-
Can you-
Unfortunately, in Teams, it's a little hard. Let me. No, that should work. Just trying
I just have some animation.
Oh, you have animations?
Yeah.
I'm working off of a PDF.
Okay. Oh, you are.
So,
Is that the one I just gave?
no, this is one that you previously sent.
The one I just gave you is good.
Yeah, unfortunately, I actually don't have the right USB to plug it directly in. I'm sorry.
I can work off it. All right. Let me
I use one of those.
Yeah.
All right. if you
Let me
go-
see the thumb drive while you're doing it, and while you're talking, I'll see if I can finagle something here.
Okay, so the first two slides I have is really kind of some concept diagrams of a town amphitheater. You know, what's the benefit of a town amphitheater? You know, it's something that we can do in the community. People can use it for fundraisers. You could weddings there, bar mitzvahs, private events, outdoor movies, picnics, and I have concepts for all these things. But this is kind of the idea where you're really using the field, you're not really making any changes to it other than just some structures. Where it's the amphitheater is actually at the bottom of the hill, and you're basically just using the hill for seating, right? So there's no building of stadium seatings or anything like that. People just bring in their own chairs. And they set up just kind of similar to this picture. If you go to the next slide, there's another kind of example of a sunken amphitheater. It could be either open air on all sides. It could have closed on three sides, whatever. But a place where people can do shows, events, those types of things. But also have amenities around it, surrounding it, so that like playgrounds or picnic structures, those types of things. If you go to the next slide, please. This is the Stefan Farm proposed location. Is there a question? So this is just kind of a quick map of the town land owned Stefan
If
Farm.
folks can just please mute your phones, that would be helpful. Thank you. Set someone in here. Thank you.
And I'll go into a little more detail on this. Go to the next slide, please. So this is kind of the view. This is at the top of the hill, at the top of the property. And we walked it. I had several people come with me. Steve McSellian also came and attended. And this is kind of the view. And this would be the top where the parking lot would be. And then the field actually goes down and it's recessed. That's where the amphitheater would be. Next slide, please. This was the plan that was proposed for previously. So 2019, a survey was done, an estimate was done, and on this diagram, this is kind of where the top of the property is that we're proposing for this amphitheater. And this is the proposed road. This here, this line right here are the power lines. This is Mechanic Street here. The town garden is down here. And so the proposed road, this would be road option number one, this one, or option number two. I updated slides. But that's the one that was done. It was 2019, I think they estimated somewhere around $133,000 to put the road in. I'm sure it's much more now, but that's really the first option. Next slide, please. Here's this kind of satellite picture of the site. You see up here, this is the open area. So these are natural openings in the trees where I'm proposing that the trees are located. Next slide. Here's that map overlay without the satellite, just another perspective, going to give you a sense. Now, the problem with this, the issues with this extra road is that when it crosses another person's property, so there would have to be some kind of right of way. There's like discussions would need to take place. But this one had already been looked at once by the town. Next slide. One more, so usually let's go to the next slide. So we are looking at that one. They have some new drawings. So here is the concept on that site. Right, you've got the natural openings here. It slopes down this way. You've got a very scenic view beyond it. This would be the parking area up top. Estimated 400 spots around a parking lot. Facilities, bathrooms, and then the stage down below with kind of tiered seating here. But surrounding the area, I have several covered picnic area structures. So, right here, I'm showing 6 of them, right? But that's just the concept. These picnic structures essentially would be a concrete slab with a solid structure, permanent structure, the picnic tables, and people in the community could come out. They could bring their families and generations to come and do family picnics, these types of things, all during the course of the day, any day of the week. Right? A playground and a dog park. Playground, obviously, something for the kids to enjoy. And the dog park, fenced-in area. You cover both things at once, where you've got the dog park and you're watching them, and you get the kids off on the playground doing other things. So the site really has lots of potential for many things that the whole community could use. Another thing that I was looking at, let's go to the next slide. Here's some concepts that we covered.
Hold on. That's me. Trying to help you out. All right. So I can share my screen if you want to take a little
Sure.
digression here. So
I added some other diagrams for the second road option that I wanted to cover. This is since I sent you the last slides.
I know this is kind of work. What did they say? Share the conference. There we go. I need permission to share my screen. Maybe give me that permission.
Oh, is that because are you using an Upton email?
Oh, I am using the Upton network.
But you're not using your uptonma.gov email? Like that? What method is it?
Security says you need permission to share your screen.
Oh, that's on your laptop. And so then if you just put the lock there, you can take it down. Are you using Teams in Chrome?
Yeah.
Oh, never is the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, right.
And HP and Apple and whatever system we have here.
Yeah.
And then if you hit the lock, it closes it.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm curious. Yeah. Okay. Go over here. I'll see if we can figure this out.
I mean,
I did just.
does the host need to just give
I
permission?
did
or
just
is
change
it
it.
No, it's
mine.
local on the laptop?
It's local for his Mac.
So if I go to share.
I just email it to Jeff.
I can click on there, I can share, there's permission. So, I don't know if I can email. You want me to try to email the
Well,
PDF then?
what you can do is you can airdrop it to me.
Alright. Alright. I can say now you can
I mean, we could to disrupt the whole meeting.
I thought it'd be easy, just throw in a thumb drive and we're done.
Yeah, like you say.
A lot of emphasis on your animation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it sounds like this
It's not that big, it's not that
better,
big.
really it better deliver.
The animation. Animation.
Alright, keep going.
Yeah, just keep doing with the other slide presentation. I'll just have to fast
tried.
forward to the end for the.
Took a college prep. Yeah. Fine.
All right, you can go to the next one. So cover picnic areas, playground, obviously, you know what those look like. Next slide, please. Dog park, this is kind of the idea that I was going for. Next slide, please. Disc golf is another great idea that people are throwing around in this town. The site's perfect for that do 9 holes real easily without disrupting the environment whatsoever, really. It's a great option for this site. Next slide. So, benefits to the town. This project is really low impact. That's the way I look at it, right? So, in terms of town beautification funds, a lot can be done, very little impact.
It was popular for a while. I think it's
Folks, please mute their phones.
Yeah. Oh, really?
You.
I believe we could do a lot with very little impact to the environment, surrounding environment. In terms of town beautification, those types of things, this would be a great, I think, a great addition to the community. This lot has been sitting idle for almost 10 years now. I know that some studies have been done in the past for different playgrounds and those types of things. I'm really just adding to that, adding on to that concept. Right? The Town Amphitheater, I think, is a really great concept for community involved in terms of fundraising in the town. They do the concert series in the summer. They have no parking. There's no. I talked to the Recon and they end up having to turn people away because they get such a good turnout at the concerts that they just don't have the parking. This would easily be able to sustain that type of parking for that type of event. And you could rent it out for private functions, those types of things. And to cover offset the costs of maintenance and those types of fees. Next slide. All right, so if you let's go down, keep going, scroll down to the very end. I have the second road option in this whole presentation that's down towards the end here. Okay, so here. So right here you see the down plot page. And this is the lot right here for Stepping Stone. And this here is the other access off of Warrant Street. So the other proposed road, so I call this option 1, basically could come in off of this place and go up so that the actual amphitheater would be right here on this map. So you have option 1 road coming out this way, and option 2 would be coming out so would be coming out off this way to the side. Now,
Is that a flatter entrance? Sorry.
so here,
Yeah.
it's kind of flat this way,
Yeah.
it does go up,
Comes up.
and this way goes up as well. So
Yeah.
the whole side kind of slopes
That
down.
way. Okay, that's how it.
You remember walking the side, you walk down the building
Oh yeah.
from the town, down the park. Yeah. So what I've done to date is really, I believe, the extent that I can do on my own. I think really what needs to happen, and my recommendation my request to the selectmen for that, is to really establish a committee to begin exploring this idea for this site, this concept, to see the feasibility of this. I think that, and again, I don't know, but you have to tell me, but I think that there are funds that would exist to pay for this type of thing within the town. And I'm looking to be involved in the committee. I've essentially done all this on my own to date. I reached some help. I don't really know how to take it further. So I'm requesting that we form a committee or the selectmen form a committee. I'm happy to be a part of that. So that we can potentially explore this further to see if it's even feasible to even get a road. I'm hoping it would be. It looked like there was from the plan that was done in 2019. I mean, it's not necessarily the best approach, or option 2 would be better. I don't know, but I need some assistance to take this further.
Wonderful. And I do see the animation. Unfortunately, other folks can't see it. But so this is the amphitheater here. This is the Orchard Street entrance, the second road option, and then this one is the second option, right? Coming up from the community gardens versus coming up from Orchard Street. That was the big animation, right?
Yeah, that was yeah. That's it. I just wanted to show on the map,
right?
Option 1 road, option 2 road.
Right. And they both kind of come into the back of where the parking is, which is obviously what you want, like the top of the hill. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, please, yeah.
Just one quick point, I was gonna say, if you look at the way that layout is, I'm looking at the animation, I think the road naturally slopes up, and it goes towards the road up. So I think coming in our Orchard, naturally, it will be a much shorter run, and a less gradual climb. And that is something, again, as you said, you delve into it, try to put some thought to it, try to get some help with what feasibility is.
Yeah.
And one quick comparison I was going to make is I grew up outside of LA. It's not a lane in town, and have a parking lot. So what may be of interest is trying to figure out what was the length of that. I think dollars wise, it's actually pretty similar to what the estimate that you have, that 120, 133, which is probably quite high in this month. I think that's something about what we spent to put in the driveway, the roadway, in the parking lot of the one so
Like a gravel.
yeah, so tree clearing, you lost some dollars getting tree clearing and excavating work that needs to be done. But that was pretty flat. This is definitely going to be a full, I think, just because of the elevation. But anyways, I thought that was an interesting comparison. That established for parking lot fronts. This is certainly attainable, it's just a matter of, what the right-hand situation is and things back. Yeah.
Maureen?
Did you also say you have to bring water and septic, or you'd have to have water and septic?
Yeah, I think water septic is necessary. If you want facilities, if you want to.
Do you need sewer or private septic, or?
It would be private septic. It would be private septic, I'm not sure.
How far up does the water go? There you go.
How far does
The water line go towards Stefan.
that I don't know.
There's water right up this.
North Street, up to the development up there, a lot of the selectmen that development is built and part of the responsibility for the water, all the way up to the development of North Street, the right across the
Okay.
So I just want to respectfully, first I want to thank the person who received it very well last time when we graduated the presentation. That person, right, unfortunately wasn't present. I want to thank the current selectmen here that Karen has the question. And secondly, my dear friend, Alan, who received that presentation, along with the speaker and Joe Cheney. And we purposely purchased this land which we intended to use in the future. Unlike the certain farm by separated from whatever, or interpretation of this is one of the few large open spaces in the community that has no restriction on it. I'm sure the board of selectmen has read the 2006 land stewardship report, approximately 1992 pages that represented the how it's reviewed. Respectfully to that point of the board, it hasn't happened. There's supposed to be playgrounds up there, there's supposed to be barbecue areas up there, there's supposed to be open space use of that area. It was required respectfully by the wonderful proposal for that purpose. I think that, again, draft presentation identifies many reasons that don't exist in this community, interpreted as an engagement community, organizations about investigation community, but it's something that doesn't even exist in most economies where things usually are related to again, if you're experiencing it's just not going to affect the habitat that exists in the community issues so that maybe we can utilize. That habitat wouldn't be touched at all, and I hope that any communities that's important to them, that they would be supportive of it. Yeah, I think it's a great vision. As a citizen, I support this request that you consider doing the committee to find out what is the best possible use and consistent with what Brad's vision is, and then present it to you, and then you, as the select person in this community, decide whether you support it and you present it to the community. This is something that is missing from our community. I didn't think about it, but I usually ask for it, I don't think it's going to be too often. But the reality is that this doesn't exist really. Very few of these towns and cities in Worcester County. And it's something honestly this is a big this parcel. And I think the citizens should be waiting for something like this. I hope they can consider honestly creating a community moving forward. And then the community will present to you with a I'm sure you are too. I don't know anyone who is one time this community variety goes from a select person from a institution for a board of selectmen, board of health. He along with Kristen Apple brought that board of health and the voice at that time for years. We've been serving this with the community and hope that the select person is considered somehow harming and you can see through the use of this community.
I agree.
He sure is. Thank you.
We should have a section on our agenda for recognition. And it's going to make sense to me recognition. I don't know if anybody was prepared to speak for this yet. It's very recent, of course, content and recognition is not important. Numerous boards that have worked on. And as you said, we lost quite a few senior leaders in the town. Yeah, anyways, getting back to this topic, I guess the only thing I mentioned last time that was voted, last time you presented, I think that the concept, the idea, certainly, I always said one of the biggest problems I have is we're always on the next piece of land. The town seems we can't wait to go around and land somewhere, when we don't follow through or make the properties that we have accessible. And as you mentioned, this property does not have restrictions. It's not taxable. And have all these involved stock parks and other activities that are outlined here. I see the problem, as beautiful as the elevation is, again, I don't want to be the downer. I just think the biggest nut to crack is going to be handicap accessibility. I mean, if we can figure that out, understand that right from the drop of the hat, if we can kind of understand what that's going to be, what that's going to add to the project, or how it will limit the project, I think we'll be able to follow. It's going to maintain.
So select person means that actually just right now, it is that thing that's open to the community. This project will make it community accessible. It will be downsized to the parking area, the recreational area. So that's the vision for the board that will supply with respect to the county government for the town. By shading concerns, it's actually a solution, not a problem.
Like your thing.
Thank you.
No.
Are there other boards, committees, residents that you've spoken to about this idea?
I have spoken to several residents, in the mall, the concept. Everyone loved the idea. I don't think it was a single person that
I know Laura had. She went out and walked the site with us. She loved the idea. That's one name I could throw out there. All the members of the men's club, I presented this to. They all are behind it. They think it's a really great use of that land. I haven't really heard anyone provide any negative comments on it. A question about how it would be paid for always comes up. But again, I think that I think funds in the town already exist that would qualify to pay for it.
Do you have any kind of an estimate on it?
I have no estimate. I'm no expert. Yeah, that's really what I wanted to start pulling together.
Do you want for aviation science, somebody from the disability committee on there?
Yeah.
No, it's not part of the whole project, but that will come up during the committee process.
I think you were in all seconds. and represent something of the entire community. So whatever the board is selecting, you obviously have the authority to do whatever the board of representatives and the community wanted, there needs to be a 9-person committee, there needs to be a 3-person committee, whatever you feel is appropriate. I would just request to consider the requirements that you add to consider it, because obviously this building is pretty central to this. I assume the criminal feedback, I assume the conservation commission might want the legislature might want to see some of that, the recreation commission, but I'm sure in your wisdom, you look at the current people of the boards, and you do some 3 or 4 or 5 citizens in the meeting.
I have met with the rec commission to present this idea. They were very in favor of it. The one concern they raised is that they were thinking about doing an amphitheater as part of the building that they were looking to build down in Kiwanis. But they were, they that they would be willing to not do it this fast. They're going to put a small over there for other things. Yeah, more of a pavilion than an amphitheater. Right? They still, even with the added parking with the rec com that they described, it wouldn't really be sufficient to cover the whole thing. Events that I see forced to
I mean, I certainly don't have any expectation that you've talked to any of these people, but the planning board, or not really the planning board, the conservation commission or land stewardship or open space or community preservation, have you talked to any of those folks?
I talked to, I forget their names. Early on is actually when I talked to.
If you know their reaction.
It came to, we had them present at a men's club meeting. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look it up. Yeah, I haven't spoken to them.
What was it? Phil Taylor and Mike Penko?
Yes.
You said there were 2 of them at the, yeah. So what was their take?
So they do like the idea. They're concerned about any restrictions on the site.
Yeah.
But as you know, I've been informed there really aren't restrictions on that site.
Yeah.
So other than that, they thought that the concept was sound.
Yeah, and it certainly doesn't look like, I mean, obviously it's up to the environmentalists to determine what's up there, but it doesn't seem like there's any obvious wetland, whether there's vernal pools. I know there's a couple little streams and things up there, but it's not like it's, it's obviously up on a hill, so that's
correct.
That's going to work for you. But,
Correct.
Okay.
Preservation Act, that so again, Greg has 99.9% of the answer. I think the committee will go to the president and the only board on that. And yet, you never talk to those who are concerned with the habitat or the people. My understanding is they were actually positive about it. And again, I think the president provided that because it's not an easy effect. The existing habitat is open space right now that really is going to be used. Nothing anything with any trees or one of the little creatures that are living there. That is what's going to be impacted by it.
I put in the note. In the amphitheater. I get you, Al. It's good. You can't help it. I appreciate it. It's good. Good enthusiasm. Yeah. I mean, I think there is no doubt that, right, this land was purchased with that intent. It's a great use of the land. It's a beautiful vision. I think there's clearly a lot to be considered that a committee could help figure out, right? The waters of the sewer, the road, the cost, the conservation issues, the environmental issues, all those things, the ADA, like all of that can be figured out. And if at some point something makes it prohibitive, okay. But nobody knows that right now, so let's try to lean in and figure that out. So the one thing that I have in the back of my mind is as we think about priorities for the community and things going on, whether it's needing a new middle school, trying to redevelop the downtown. We're just putting in the community center, so the town just spent $12 million on that. We're going to have to redevelop across the street here with the Holy Angels Church and the lots that are there. We're going to have to figure out what to do with the Racine building. There's obviously the Trask property that's in play for some kind of recreation investment. RecCom just put together their multi-year strategic plan, which included a lot of investment in recreational infrastructure. So there's just a lot on the table in terms of the capital at the disposal of the community. But certainly as a board member myself, it's not, I don't see it as my job in any way to be the driver of these kinds of decisions other than to facilitate community input, get information out to people, get the information we need on projects like this, and understand what the options are for people, because if this is something that folks want to see, then that's what they'll prioritize over other things. We need a DPW, so I don't, there's a proposal for a DPW, that's another, multi-million-dollar, multi-year project. So, there's a lot in the hopper, but it's obviously beautiful, no doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous. I'll agree with you.
The whole thing.
Yeah. So,
that's another, you bring up a good point as far as the Trask property, because we don't know what is going on. A lot of times we don't hear what meeting agendas are going on in other committees, so we don't know what exactly RecCom may have planned for that particular site.
And it was, they had a very detailed plan for what to do with the Trask property and the master plan for RecCom. So they've got proposals there, but again, like that's no more or less of a reality than this, right? So if you could say, hey, you know what, this meets all of these needs, so let's revise what we would do over on Trask, because now we're going to invest here first, and this will get done in the next 5 years, and then in the next 5 to 10 years, we do something with Trask. So it's sort of, it's just a decision for folks to make.
So this property is more suited because of
The elevation, totally. Yeah.
So one person will run that game, this is in competition, in my eyes, and that's why it's a flat house over there. The selling point of this is the amphitheater, and again, I wish that the other two members maybe work together.
I've walked up there, Mr. Rose.
It's 50 miles, you can imagine from spring to fall,
Beautiful spot.
beautiful. It's nothing like it in this county, all over the county.
Beautiful.
This is an amazing meeting that we have, and hopefully we'll come to the consideration.
Yeah, and I think the only thing it competes for is taxpayer dollars, right? So
That's already been paid by but I appreciate one thing.
well, hold on, it's taxpayer money, right? So the town gets to decide how they spend their money. So we bring the ideas to the people in the town, they decide how they want to spend their money. They can either spend their money here, or they can spend their money developing Trask, or they can spend it doing both, or doing something completely unrelated, right? So let's be clear, it's not there's.
Perhaps the other people decide what they want to play. That's important.
That's the priority. Thank you. Great. So why don't we take this away and we'll sort of come up with what we think the right next steps are. I don't know if unless you guys are ready to, I would sort of think we need to figure out who needs to be on the committee, what, I don't know if you want to do that here, or have Joe come up with a recommendation, or offline, and then we can bring it back, or what do you guys think? I'm fine with it.
I would digest it a little bit. Again, we got to process some of that information, think about the other committee, give us a chance to individually talk to Joe, and then we can get to the next step. We can always have a discussion item in our next meeting, the following meeting. What does the composition of the committee look like? And when I mentioned the other parcel, I was talking really more towards, because part of the sell, in my mind, or the selling feature of the attraction of this really is, the dog park, playground, those other types of things. So if those are also scheduled for the other parcel, we want to kind of know that going into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to digest it a little bit, I think.
Okay.
Could we put that on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yeah, it's,
No, bad.
speaking as far as next meeting, when we set our summer schedule, we scheduled back-to-back meetings. So we're technically scheduled next Tuesday. So, and that may, quite honestly, because we don't have like a lot of department requests, we don't have applications for positions, that may be then a good meeting to deal with some of these sort of larger discussion items as far as how we want to structure things for the fall, setting up meetings, setting up committees, and sort of helping to do that. So,
Okay. All right. Great. Any other questions? Okay. Any other comments?
So just rather you'll let me know when we come back.
Of course. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all your time. That's a lot of hours into that, so good job. Awesome. Good work. Thanks for coming by and sharing it. Thank you.
Have a good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you, John. See you later.
hi, nice to meet you as well.
Next up, we have the Westboro Road RFP discussion.
So I printed off a copy for you. So at least, because you probably have more knowledge as far as the immediate history and exactly what happened than I do. All I know is we didn't get any bids. So looking at it, you know, we basically established a floor at $525,000. You know, it becomes a question whether or not, and I don't know if we worked with an appraiser to identify what that value was. So I'll have to, I can look through files if you know of anything.
We did appropriate some money, and there was, because I remember seeing it, there was a partial survey that was done.
So, and I know you engage services of an engineer.
For some reason, I was thinking that it was actually the old instead of December 2021. We published the exact same RFP to see if maybe the fish weren't fighting at that time. Now with the more uncertainty as far as interest rates and all those things, you know, now we get the consulting to look at lowering the minimum, or is it something that want to try to think of something different? I don't know what conversations you have. I'll think that's up to it's a lot less than usual are. Whether or not we might, we should love to like one day to sell all three rather than individually.
I think back then that was the consensus, that we just thought we'd keep the parcels together. The acreage was suitable and the frontage was suitable. I think it clearly kind of delineates the three lots. And I think that's pretty much how we established the value. And I thought, if someone wanted to do, the subdivision, of course, it would be worth more than to the developer. Yeah, so this is just cutting them up as straight lines. Perhaps we could do a little more background and find out, at least we're brainstorming a little bit. Maybe we could do a little homework and find out what exactly did we get done. Because I do remember seeing a survey. I don't recall if we had an actual estimate on the property done. Yeah, an appraisal of some sort.
Yeah.
So maybe we could, State Forest was behind it, I believe, yes.
So I don't see a current map. Was there a map in the packet?
Oh, yeah, sorry. This. So I think this is the one parcel, and then this is just divided into three.
Oh, I see.
But there's no appraisal, certainly not in here, and I haven't seen one. I don't know that we had one. I remember making up the $525,000 number. Because that's what we thought was good. I remember suggesting that I wasn't a real estate appraiser and wasn't in a position to establish a value.
I know there is some there. But it's one on the side.
Maybe.
You could also get someone that, well, the average lot is 175,000. All these guys are big, that's
All right. Math seems to ring a bell.
Sorry.
I'd love to get some.
Yeah, I wonder if.
So, I'll take a deeper dive into these files, trying to pull out what we have and come across, whether it's from, engineer regarding the project. So, no, I haven't. That's where,
It's good information, and we're getting it out there. So residents, developers, business owners, anyone who hears this now at least knows that the parcel land will be for sale, or is for sale.
As I say, it definitely is for sale. There was an RFP, there was a price. If anybody's interested in it, we're trying to sell it. So, in whatever format or whatever, right, whatever that looks like, we're happy to have the discussion. And sometimes, that's the best discussion, is for someone to just have a better idea than you do on how it's created in a way that's most valuable to someone who wants to invest in it. So.
How much information do you have for business?
well, that was just for the RFP. There has to be a bunch more that is there.
Yeah.
I just have to go digging through not only server files, but then also that's where Sandy will probably get that together, as well as hard copies. But we have that. And ideally, all that stuff.
And it's one of those things, right? Like, you say, like, we're always looking to buy the next parcel, right? If we can, like, literally, we just looked at Stefan's farm, and a great idea for using that property. Well, gee, if we can sell a parcel here for $600,000, and that covers the road at Stefan's farm, and/or, who knows how far it would go to that vision, then I think, that's a trade-off that you bring to the people and the voters, and they say, yeah, you know what? Sure, I'd love to give up these 12 acres over here to get this over here. Right? And I think that
money.
start to consolidate some of the value instead of a postage stamp of land here and here and here and here. So, yeah, let's do that, Joe. Right? I think that makes sense. Figure out what the background is, sort of do all the data gathering for what we already have, and then what's the right way to either do another RFP, and I don't know what we need to do that. Right? Is it get an appraisal? Is it talk to a developer? Is it talk to multiple developers? Is it whatever that process is? That's what we should do. So
Sounds like a plan.
we're both on board with that. Okay.
Like I say, I know there's a survey, or part of the survey that was done, so if we could maybe start with that, and then we can work forward.
It would be great to know, like, could it be a subdivision, or could it only be 3 house lots, or can it really just be 1 house lot in the wetland? Like I don't know, but I would think the planning board might also sort of have a perspective on it, and just look at it. Have Paul look at it, just say, hey, based on the existing bylaws, like what's sort of the most valuable way to sell this land?
Did have
Okay.
No,
I'm just kidding. Sorry, it's getting late. I'm getting
so many conversations. I'm still being run out.
Exactly. Perfect. Okay. Anything else on that one? All right. I think we wanted to talk a little bit about the ambulance purchase.
Yes, and Chief Bradley is on breakthrough for holding out for the whole meeting.
There he is.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm hoping you can hear me. There's some background noise in the audio tonight. So I just want to update the board on where we are with our ambulance purchase. We've identified an ambulance that one of our vendors has as a demo. We've negotiated a price for that ambulance. The specification meets our needs. And that price is $283,463 minus, that's including the trade-in of our 2006 ambulance. So we had at the annual town meeting a appropriation of $350,000 to purchase this ambulance. The remaining funds will be used to purchase the stretcher power system and lettering and so forth. We are waiting to hear from a grant that we submitted for the stretcher system. So we're hoping that that will cover the cost of the stretcher system, and we'll have some remaining funds in this article. If we're unsuccessful in that grant bid, then we'll be using the remaining articles to outfit the ambulance. So we're looking to take delivery of this ambulance this week. With your support, we will move forward with the purchase of this ambulance. We're fortunate that we were able to find this unit because of the current lead times. Many communities are waiting 1 to 2 years to purchase an ambulance. So we're fortunate to find this one through our vendor.
Yeah, it can be very hard to come by, so that's excellent. And the price is right. It allows us to get the extra equipment in there without having to go above and beyond the budget. So that's awesome. Good work, as always.
You had mentioned that it's a demo model. Is it basically a 2021 or 2022 chassis? Can you share with us?
And this is a 2022 Ford F550 Osage ambulance. So it is a 2022. And it was recently picked up by the vendor as a demo model. So it is, it is fairly new.
Very good.
Anything else you need from us?
No, this was just general information and perhaps just a motion if the board feels that warranted to support the purchase, and we'll move forward.
I was making some notes. 2002 F550. Did you say the manufacturer was Osage?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
Yep. And just as a side note, this is being purchased through a national cooperative bid. Buy board is the bid that we go through, and that meets the Massachusetts 30B procurement laws.
Okay. And the purchase price was $283,463?
That is correct.
I would make a motion that we authorize the town manager and the public safety director to purchase the 2022 F550 ambulance, Osage ambulance, for the amount of $283,463.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you for your time.
All right, we've got minutes followed by executive session. So we've got minutes from May 17th, June 7th, 21st, and July 12th.
All set, please?
The May 17th, there's some things out of order on that. I don't know if you picked up on that. So I said we hold off on those meeting minutes, but I'm fine with the other three dates. Was June 7th, 21, and July 12th. Yeah, if you want to motion those three, I'm good with those.
I'll move that we accept the June 7th, June 21st, and July 12th, 2022 minutes.
I would second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This action. Okay, we are going to move into executive session per Mass General Law, Chapter.
I think we've got the special meeting minutes as well.
They're not listed. They're not listed here on the agenda.
We'll take care of the executive session meeting minutes on a future meeting, so we can list them as part of executive session.
Okay.
So we can approve those and then make a decision whether or not they're able to be released to the public or not.
Okay, I will take a motion about coming to executive session.
Yes.
Yep, I got it. I move that the select board vote to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 214, Section 1B, and Mass General Law, Chapter 4, Section 7, Clause 220, 26C, to discuss financial assistance to residents in need and not reconvene in open session. Roll call vote. Stephen Metellian, aye.
Maureen Gwinnell, aye.
Brett Sinus, aye.
I've been waiting